Which model do you think is more attractive?
My topic is on black racism, dark skin versus light skin.
There is a prejudice against the dark skin in the black community.
There is a problem in the black community because people prefer light skin over dark skin because I guess the lighter you are, the prettier you are. Like light skinned people harass dark skinned people.
People saying it and like people repping it. Team light skin. No, it's not about team light skin.
Facebook, oh my God. Like, girls be like, oh, I got a light-skinned boyfriend, oh my God. It's irrelevant.
I asked a random group of teenagers who was the most attractive, and she got the most votes and she got the least votes, but she's the only supermodel on here. Some people just don't appreciate their own beauty.
Dark chocolate, or you black beetle, or that's why you like you from Africa, or I just crazy.
Dark-skinned people, they be all light and they talk about dark-skinned people. Like on Facebook, somebody made a status talking about like this if you dark-skinned. And I'm looking like dark-skinned, hold on, I'm dark-skinned. And then light-skinned people, they comment like team light-skinned. I'm like, oh, okay. So one time I was walking down the street and the dude was like, why you so black? He came up to me like, why was I so black? And I paused like, why you so ugly? And then
my husband and I have had 4 sons, and 2 of them were lighter skinned and 2 of them were more brown. And I actually had one side of my family where one of my aunts would make a comparison, because when my oldest son was lighter skinned, my second son was more brown, and she would have the nerve to say about my older son, what's wrong with his color? And I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong with his color? There's nothing wrong with his color. So, you know, it's slavery, it's enslaved minds that allow themselves to look at a person and judge them based on their color.
so it's like something going on between black and light skin. They always arguing against each other. Like me and my sister, we don't get along. She light skin, I'm dark skin. She thinks she team light skin. I'm like, nah, team dark skin. So that's it.
You're still black. Like, why we gotta go through this again?
Why was there this sense that somebody was better than someone else? And the answer to that is because African Americans did something called internalized racism. This all stems back to the slavery period, because remember, almost all African Americans were brought here as slaves. Not all, but almost all. And those African Americans were set into a situation which was nearly unbearable. And they had to have certain kinds of survival skills to survive slavery. Slavery was not a fun, simple little thing. It was a complex, very oppressive system. And so within that system, African Americans were taught that the closer you were to white, the better you were.
And one of the things was that you've heard about the folks, the comparison that's made back in the era of slavery. There were people who worked in the field, people who worked in the yard, people who worked in the house. And quite often, where a person worked was predicated by the color of their skin. Now, you know,
As time over generations, you see African Americans beginning to say, well, wow, the light skin must be better because they're in the house and they're doing this, and the blacks must be less than because they're out there in the fields doing the brute work. So we began to internalize that racism that was taught to us about ourselves.
I mean, it saddens me to be as old as I am, and it's 2013, to think that as a people, we're still looking at what color somebody's skin is. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Unfortunately. And there are lots of examples of dark-skinned and light-skinned African Americans who have served our community well. And that's how we try to break down that barrier, by remembering. Those pictures are of people like Malcolm X, who was medium brown and had red hair. W.E.B. Du Bois, who was my skin tone. There are other individuals like Jean Toomer, who could have passed and did at times pass for white. There are also Harriet Tubman, who was extremely dark. All of those individuals were individuals who were dedicated to the uplift of the race, as they said. They were race men and women, was the term that was used back in the day.
And we need to be over that. I just can't believe that you guys are still dealing with that. You know, I understood how it happened with folks my age. I didn't like it ever. But, you know, turn that mess loose. We don't have time
You
for
are
that.
black or however black in you, then you are part of the African American culture.
We're all African American.
We are all African American.
So when they're said, you're like from Africa, that's a negative thing?
That's very negative, very racist.
And have you ever heard anyone stand up to that?
No, not yet. But I will. Today.
Good girl. Love that.